All right, we're back with Clemson head coach Monte Lee as we prepare for a 2018 season, trying to give you guys an in-depth view of what things may look like this season. Coach, let's talk a little bit about where you see guys fitting in the field. You come back with some, great talent there, great talent at the plate. Let's start with the infield, and how do you see the position battles shaping up there?
Well, we've got a lot of competition going on in the infield, and we feel like we have a chance to put a high-quality product into skin this year. It all starts at shortstop, and we have one of the best shortstops in the country in Logan Davidson. Logan has gotten better. He's gotten stronger. I think he's a more complete player defensively and offensively this year. So we're really excited about what Logan brings to the table for us. Looking at second base, we've got some battles going on there. Grayson Bird may be the most improved player from one year to the next that we have on this roster. I mean, he has been an offensive threat this fall, had an outstanding fall, hitting for power, hitting for average. He's running more. I think he's in better shape. But he has a chance to be our second baseman. We know he can play third base. So we've been working him primarily at second to see if that's going to be an option to allow us to put some other guys at third. We know Jordan Green's going to be in the mix and is competing for the middle there. Jordan's an above-average defender at second base. Third base, Justin Hawkins, junior college transfer who has enormous power potential. Could be the guy there. We're also working Justin a little bit at second base because we know Bird can play third base. Patrick Cromwell had an outstanding fall, hit in the mid-300s. Also plays a really good third base and can slide over and play some first as well. And Seth. We've been working Seth primarily at first base. We've also been working Seth out in left field as an option as well. So, for me, I think it's very important that your position players have the ability to play at least two positions, maybe three, just for versatility reasons and injury reasons. If you want to try to put your best nine on the field, you got to find, how can I maximize these guys? And guys like Bird, who can play 2 to 3 different positions. Bird may even play some outfield. Hawkins can play 2 to 3 infield spots along with Cromwell to move those guys around. Logan, who we know is going to be our shortstop, is what, kind of we're looking at right now. But, I would say we're going to continue to work Seth at first base. We feel like Seth is much improved, has worked as hard as he possibly can at first base, and has gotten much, much better. Seth's going to continue to get looks at first with Logan at short. Bird and Green and Hawkins are all working at second base. Hawkins, Cromwell, and Bird at third. We feel like we've got some depth. We feel like we have some athleticism, and we have a chance to be, in my opinion, an above-average defensive team in the infield.
You've got Williams back, a big plus from last season. Plus, we saw Wilkie come on and have a monster finish to last season. Mm-hmm. How do you see those guys sharing time at catcher, or do you see one of those guys playing somewhere else as well?
Well, we feel like we've got a 1A and 1B, so to speak. I mean, both of those guys could be our everyday starter at catcher, and we'd feel really, really good about it. Having Chris back and healthy is huge for us. Having that type of offensive threat behind the plate and also a very good defensive catcher, we feel really, really good about Chris. We also know that Chris can slide over to first base and can play some first base if he needs a break, and is a plus defender at first base. Kyle Wilkie had a monster fall for us, hit well over 300, has improved significantly offensively. Our hitting coach, Greg Starbuck, has done an amazing job of helping Kyle develop more as an offensive player. Both of those guys are going to catch for us. It's just trying to figure out again, how do we get both of those guys in the lineup at the same time, and when we need to give one a break, we can, because they're both good enough to catch for us. We also have 2 freshmen working behind those guys. Matt Cooper. Matt had the best offensive fall of any freshman. Matt hit in the mid-300s as a true freshman. Matt catches some. And also play some corner outfield. So we're working him at a couple different spots as well. And Drew Donathan, true freshman out of Charlotte's got some power, has a really good approach at the plate, just has to continue to develop defensively behind the plate. But we feel like with Chris and Kyle We have two guys who can definitely catch for us. Our pitchers love throwing to both guys. We feel like we don't miss a beat with either guy catching, and as we all know, depth behind the plate is very, very tough to come by. We feel very fortunate to have both of those guys behind the plate.
All right, as we go to the outfield, obviously you've got, find an answer there in center. How do you see the rotation and the battles out in the outfield?
I would say center field right now is our biggest question mark. Not in that we don't feel good about the guys that we have that can play center, but we lost Kier Meredith in the fall. Kier, true freshman, was drafted by the Cubs, one of the fastest players in the country out of high school. Kier reminds me of a young Brett Gardner, a left-handed hitter. He's got a chance to hit for a little bit of juice too, but can bunt, can really run and defend. Kier injured his shoulder in the fall, will probably be out at the beginning of the season. So we're trying to work a couple different guys in center field to see kind of how they do and how they fit. Drew Wharton right now is a guy that I could see potentially playing some center field. Wart has played a good bit for us over the years, is an above-average defensive outfielder. We've worked him some in center, and he's adjusted quite well to it. Swung the bat really, really well this fall, and he's a senior. So if we can put a veteran player out there in the middle of the field, we know that he's going to be able to handle that. We've got a true freshman in Bryce Teodosio out of Malden High School, who we feel like has a chance to be a special player. He's an above-average defensive outfielder as well, so he's going to battle with Wharton there in center field. Grayson Bird could potentially see some time in center field. We've moved Birdman out there and let him work out there a little bit, and we're going to continue to see if that's an option for us. In left and right, Robert Jolly, we've made an outfielder for this year because of our depth behind the plate to try to maximize what Robert can do defensively and offensively for us. Robert had an amazing fall, swung the bat very, very well. We played him primarily in left field, and he did very well defensively in left field. Could potentially slide him over to right. We'll work him over in right field too to see if that's an option, but we think Robert has a chance to play for us and play some left field. Matt Cooper, who I've already talked about, who I'm very high on. Coop, we're playing in left and right to see, kind of how he fits there, but offensively his bat plays. If he continues to hit and continues to develop offensively, we've got to find a way to get him in that lineup. So we feel like we've got a number of guys. If T.O. plays center or Kier gets healthy and we decide that we want to play him in center, we can always move Wharton to right. So Seth also could come from first base out into the outfield. Seth has experience in left and right. If we needed to get Chris Williams over at first to give him a break, or we feel like we have some options in the outfield, and we feel very good about our outfield. So that's kind of the guys that we feel like are in the mix for those spots. But again, the competition, those first 3 weekends, which we don't have a lot of time, but those three weekends of inter-squads are going to tell us a lot before the season starts.
All right, when we go to the plate, obviously you've returned some, great power with Williams and Seth coming back. Hawkins, some newcomers also coming in providing power. How do you see the lineup looking at the plate?
I think our biggest question mark for me and what we're going to focus in on a lot is who's going to lead off for us. That's the big question. We lost Pender. Pender was a huge part of our offense. Reed Rollman, lost Reed, who hit in a two-hole a lot for us. But the one thing that we do have, which I would think we're going to be one of the more talented teams in the country when you look at that three-headed monster of Davidson, Williams, and Mr. Beer. So it's just really, for me at least, trying to construct that lineup is just trying to figure out, okay, let's find where we're going to put those guys first. Once we find where we're going to put those guys, then we can determine, okay, who's going to lead off. Logan has the potential to lead off because he's done it. But because Logan has some power, we may prefer to hit him somewhere between that 2 and 4 spot. So it's really just trying to determine, okay, how do we use Logan? Do we use Logan as the leadoff hitter, or do we put him in a more of an RBI opportunity spot? But we know that Chris and Seth are going to be in the middle. Those guys, one thing's for sure, those 3 guys are going to hit somewhere between 1 and 4. It just depends on what we do with Logan and if we can find a leadoff hitter to where we can hit Logan in more of an RBI opportunity. So besides those three guys, I think Jolly's got a chance to be in the lineup. Is about as consistent as I've seen him. Cromwell and Bird, based on what they did in the fall, have to be in that lineup. Hawkins has a chance, has to become more consistent. Hawkins has got a lot of power. He's just got to try to figure out from an approach standpoint how to use the whole field, how to put the ball in play more, because the power is real. If he touches the baseball on a consistent basis, he can hit the ball out of any part of the ballpark. So Cooper has got to be in the mix there, along with Wharton. Wart had a great fall for us, and I feel very good about him. And Kyle Wilkie had a great fall. So we've got a lot of options. We feel really, really good about, the three guys with Davidson and Beer and Williams, Bird, Cromwell. All those guys are going to be in the lineup. The big key for us is, just like we're trying to figure out who our starting pitchers are going to be, who's going to be our leadoff hitter, and who's going to replace the amount of quality at bats that we lost with Pender. And then in the two-hole with Rollman, we lost Rollman. So, those two guys we lost. Can we figure out who we want to send up to the plate 5 times a game, leading off the game? And that's going to be the biggest question for us. And, I would prefer to not lead Logan off, just because of the power that he brings from both sides when he swings the bat, if anybody's on base, they're in scoring position. But if we feel like Logan's the best candidate to do it, then we'll put him in the leadoff spot and we'll run with it.
When you get Kier back, I'm assuming he'll be a candidate for leadoff as well with that speed.
Kier definitely is a prototypical leadoff type hitter. He can push and drag, he can steal, he's going to walk, hit the ball to all fields. The big thing with Kier is just the waiting game to see how his health is going to be. If he can get healthy and he can get ready with timing at the plate and those types of things, which is tough to do once the season starts. We got to find a way to kind of expedite that process for him and get him ready to go when he's ready. He could potentially find his way into the top of the order. I would say, as a true freshman, maybe best to hit him down in the order until he gets the at-bats to see what he can do, see if he's ready for that type of role. But we feel like Kier is a dynamic athlete, he's a hard worker, and he has a chance to be really special with the tools that he has.
Great. Well, thank you, Coach Lee. That's a great recap. Hopefully that gets everybody excited for some what should be some outstanding offense here this season, and a lot of depth coming back, a lot of position battles that we'll get to see unfold the first few weeks of the season. Thanks, Coach Lee, and stay tuned to TCI for complete baseball coverage.